Chris, we talking taxes today?
I don't want to. Do
Hell
you?
no! Hell
Yeah.
no! It's
Great.
Friday. We're talking e-commerce.
Let's talk e-commerce then.
Yes.
Now, that's not to say that taxes aren't important to e-commerce. And taxes
No.
are.
No.
Last week we talked about tariffs, which are just like taxes in disguise.
Very true.
And Jay, in pleasant but maybe unpleasant news, those tariffs that we talked about, that we spent all this time talking about, are now a thing of the future instead of a thing of the
Well,
past.
but are they? Because they still put the
Uh,
10% overall in place globally.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
still there.
so
We have a
maybe.
90 day on the reciprocal tariffs.
That's right.
So it's
Um,
still possibly an issue for our audience out there, all of you e-commerce sellers. And
well,
reason I didn't think about talking taxes is because I am so sure you all have taken care of it already. And we'll talk about taxes come June because that's when you really start the tax planning. So we'll kick
right.
it in then. So I'll let you take it away, Chris.
No, and that's fine. And again, also, I just wanted to reiterate too. Like, of course, if you're importing from China, uh, that situation has not changed any. And if anything, it's now more serious than it was before. So take a listen back to last week's episode as we talked about tariffs and things that you need to do to prepare. This week, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to revisit it in the same way. This week, we're going to highlight the concept, some of the thought processes, and some of the things that we think about as it comes to Gen Z and their influence on e-commerce and retail, and then also more important. I mean, also kind of directly, right? The idea of omni-channel sales activity. And so Jay, I don't know if that's like, what's the title? What title did you put up on the internets for this episode? Do we have a good title? Is it
Uh, the
the future of
title,
e-commerce?
yeah, it is. eTail is dead unless you
There you
cater
go.
to the Gen
To
Zs.
Gen Z. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about today is how to cater to Gen Z, why it matters that you should cater to Gen Z, and then some of the important things to think about. So if you're not familiar, Jay, are you a part of Gen Z?
I am not, but my daughter
Yeah,
is.
there you go. I am not, and my daughter is not. Gen Z are folks that are currently aged somewhere between like 13 and maybe 28. Generational, numbers are always kind of a hot
Yep.
mess. But the 1997-ish range, so kind of that would be the end of the millennial range, into those born in 2012.
Hmm.
Which again, Jay, your daughter is like kind of right in the smack dab
Right in
middle
the
of that.
middle. Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Kind.
don't think she's got any
Yeah.
confusion.
Yeah, for sure. And she
Um,
is truly a Gen Zer when it comes to her purchasing. So
and so
yeah.
what's that mean, Jay? So there are some key themes, right? The one of those themes is that there's omni-channel shopping, right?
Yeah.
Folks go into the store, folks buy things online, folks buy things online that they expect to then get in the store. And so you've got this multi-dimensional aspect.
Yeah.
Um,
They don't want to wait for that delivery. They're going to go to the store 10 minutes after they place that order and stand there
Pick it up,
stumping their foot or tapping their toes waiting
right?
for it. Yeah.
That's right. Um, the, a lot of the folks in Gen Z also have a really, and I think it's probably more than some of the past generations, like a very in touch with reality a concept of how the environment is going and heading, which focuses on sustainability, right? And so we've
Most
talked on this show
definitely.
several times about how sustainability can be important, and we're going to do so again today. Um, and then Jay, what social apps is your daughter using these days?
That's a great question. Uh, well, I know she's still on Snapchat and
Yeah,
Instagram and TikTok.
hmm
I mean,
yeah,
it's still all about the TikTok. It's like
yeah,
you go into her Instagram account and she's got stories but no posts.
yeah. Well, and that's the point that I wanted to make was right that social media is a 100% there presence in the young
Yeah.
people's lives these days, right? Like social media is important, And then on top of that, like Jay mentioned, from TikTok, from Instagram, you that also encompasses or is like directly involved in some purchasing decisions because the folks that are using these social medias are often following influencers, following people that they have interest in, and people that have the ability to have some impact on what they're buying. So that'll be an important thing we talk about today too.
So funny story. Remember when I did the stop video?
Uh huh.
So the next day I get a FaceTime from my daughter. I answer it, Dad, what are you doing on my FYP? That's so cringe.
Oh my word! So your FYP or like for you page? I'm not even sure what that is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh huh. Oh my gosh, I'm
Yeah,
old
yeah.
now.
Yes, sir. So I'm like, was it good? She goes, yeah, it actually was. I wasn't. I'd actually tell people about that one. So it was.
There you go.
She
Nice.
said it was cringe, but she actually kind of liked it. So we'll
That's
take
good.
it.
That's not bad.
No,
It could definitely go a lot worse.
for sure.
Now we talk about Gen Z a lot, and 13-year-olds maybe aren't making all that many purchases right now, but the expectation is that this particular generation group is going to continue to gain influence, right? As the baby boomers continue to pass on, and these folks get a little bit older, their spending power is expected to grow to 17% of U.S. total spending by 2030. Now, like that's not that far away. 2030 is only just a few years down the road, which means that you need to be well prepared to cater to the needs of folks if you want to pick up some of that 17% of spending.
You know,
Um,
a buddy of mine had a conversation last night. We were talking about our daughters, and my daughter being a Gen Z, his daughter being an alpha, and he's like, I can already see it. They're the ones going to take over the world.
what's that? The alphas?
The alphas, yeah.
Is that my daughter?
Yeah, I think it is, yes.
Yeah. There you go.
So,
Ready. Let's do it.
that 2030 time, those 10, 11-year-olds are, going to be 15, 16.
Yeah.
Look out.
Yeah. So there's gonna be some adaptation that you're gonna need to make to this over time is a critical thing. But I think a lot of the same concepts are gonna remain true because some of this stuff is not going to go away. And one of those things is the omni-channel shopping preference, right? I mentioned it before. Buy online, pick up in store it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's important for the reasons that Jay talked about, right? People want a lot of purchases, especially here in the United States, that are happening right now, are to serve some current desire. In some cases, that's like, hey, I'm working on this project and I need some glue, so I'm gonna order the glue and go pick the glue up. But I'm gonna get everything else. I'm gonna make some more progress on this project while I'm waiting, right? Or I'm gonna do the laundry before I go get it, right? Like there are reasons why it's valuable to be able to to schedule the time when you can get it, but also know that you're going to get it quickly. And so while Amazon has trimmed down delivery times from warehouse spaces to your front door to 2 days, there are lots of situations where people don't want to wait that long, and people want to get that product now. And so these buy online options to go pick up in the store are just going to continue to be more and more popular. And Jay, I think we've talked a lot about how we've both done this for Target, for Walmart, because there are so many things that you can purchase there that make this a very quick and truly like a relatively seamless and frictionless process, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that makes it easy for everybody, and it makes you feel satisfied at the end. What were you going to say, Jay?
Well, I don't remember what I was going to say. You made me think of something else.
Sorry.
So, I do it with Best Buy. I do it with Lowe's. I mean, last project I did involved like 14 2x4s. I placed the order, had them all ready. They helped me load them.
Out you go.
And finish the project. I mean, it is so much more convenient, but it's not having to go through the stores and all the busyness and dealing with that. And you can stay on your schedule, and it is so much more convenient. And, it's worth tipping the employees and the delivery people that we're using for some of those issues. And the other thing I was going to say was you're also using some of the deliveries for that too, because not only buy online, pick up, but buy online, have it delivered, and they come and deliver it to your home. I mean,
Yeah.
you can have it from Walmart in less than an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is, and that just makes it that much easier, right?
Yeah.
So, and that is an important thing because the delivery expectations, because of the Amazonification of the marketplace, the delivery expectations for everyone have started to shrink and have started to be more of that deliver it to me now expectation, and this and the idea of getting it from Walmart in the same day or from whatever in the same day is falls into that category. Obviously, Amazon is doing the same thing. There's lots of I ordered something from Amazon just like earlier this week, and I had the option to have it delivered between 4 and 8 a.m. Jay,
Same
right?
thing with this.
Yeah,
Saw it
where
on
you
TikTok Shop, ordered it on Amazon.
there you go, and you got it the next day,
The
and
next day.
and a lot of the expectations that go along with this are going to mean that your product needs to be available fast, and you need to have a solution in place that allows people, and especially the younger generations, to be able to get your product quickly. Um, and then finally, and if we haven't kind of already made that clear, like anytime that people are using social media as a source of their I don't know, the muse for their purchases. What would you call it, Jay? The place where you get the purchase info, right? When you're getting the inspiration for
Right.
your purchase, you're getting that from social media. That means that you're on your phone,
Yeah.
which means that you need to be able to buy the thing that you're interested in on your phone as well. Which means that mobile apps and mobile stores are just going to continue to be more important and more impactful for e-commerce businesses as we head into the future. Jay, when is the last time, and maybe we talked about this before at one point in time, when's the last time that you bought something not on your phone? From the internet.
Okay. From the internet. Oh.
Yeah, from the internet. So not like Chick-fil-A or
I was going to say Starbucks last night.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Although you could have got that Starbucks off your phone too.
Actually, well, I didn't order it, but I did pay with my phone.
Yeah.
I can't remember at the moment.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's my point, is it just doesn't happen that much anymore.
No.
So much of the time, if you're buying something, you're doing it on your phone. And so that mobile shopping experience that you're having, it needs to be a good one, and it needs to be good quality. Otherwise you're not going to have the person come back or even complete the sale. Which means that you're going to continue to need to optimize your website in order to facilitate mobile viewing, mobile shopping, and all of the things that go along with that. Jay, if you think about, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, as you think about omni-channel shopping, like what comes to mind for you?
First thing is, like you said, phone. I mean, I'm sitting in this space in front of these screens this week. It's like 12 hours a day. It's like I don't want to see it. I want to sit and spend time with my wife, and while we're talking, hey, we need X, Y, and Z, and we do it. I mean, just take care of it. And so it's all right here, and a lot of times she'll be trying to do it. It's like, hey, this isn't working. I was like, give me that. I'll do it real quick. And she goes, that wasn't very nice. And it's like, okay, it's all good. But that's truly it. And what I was going to say earlier, Shopify and the other platforms have made it so they're so user friendly on the responsive side. So no matter what device you are using, it's going to be a good fit for you, and it's going to make it easy to make that purchase. And think of where Shopify has come over the last 5 years. I mean, you're at the point now you don't have to put a card even in, because I mean, basically it recognizes you And with the link, it just sends you a quick email to verify it's you, and boom, your purchase is made. Or
Yep.
use Apple Pay or whatever. But it is
Right.
so easy, and that's
Right.
the key. You remove the friction from the purchase, because today, if there is any friction, at least for me, if I find any friction in it, I just put my phone down and walk away from it. It just frustrates me because some
Yeah.
things are so seamless. It's like, oh wow, I'm done already. It's great. I'm out.
Right. Yeah, and so I think that that's an important thing for brands to continue to understand, right? Is that Jay, like you mentioned, like
Yeah.
some of those bigger shops like Shopify shops are the Shopify. That's why they made their most recent update was to make these like little small friction points become less and less friction, like so that it's just easier for everybody.
Yep.
And so if, again, sometimes it's those things that you don't see, but they can be extremely powerful because they do impact conversion, and that is a really important aspect of being able to get those sales, especially direct to consumer sales, across the finish line.
Most
Um,
definitely.
and and again, as we head into the future, like that's going to continue to be more and more important because if you don't have that seamless aspect, you're gonna be the like old dinosaur instead of just like not quite up to snuff or whatever, right? You're just gonna be you're gonna be completely eliminated instead of being like ugh. Instead of
So
causing
true.
frustration, you're just gonna just be ignored altogether.
So true. And the last thing you want is to be ignored, and
That's right.
because it's going to take, I would say, 10 times the effort to get them back on your radar.
Right.
So
Right.
just avoid it at all costs if you can.
Yeah, and so that does mean that there needs to be some investment in making sure that those things are of good quality now, and you'll see the rewards of it now. So I think that will continue to be something that's important.
Yeah, agreed.
Um, Jay, any other thoughts on omni-channel shopping and anything else there?
No, but yeah, I wouldn't call it omni-channel, but you know, something else that we talked about some time back is loyalty programs.
Yeah.
So I am a Delta card holder, Delta Flyer, and a American Flyer. They both have
Hmm.
shopping malls where you can search for your products on it that you're looking for. It will then give you, a list of 20 stores that are carrying that product, and then tell you how many Sky Miles or American Airlines miles you can get. So those are other things to look at, being a part of, and it's just part of your marketing budget, and I would definitely look at that. I mean, when I was on my drive to get all those miles to get my status, I used it all the time, and I kind of leaned towards those vendors because I needed the points.
Yeah.
So it's loyalty programs count. So look at that as well.
Yeah.
And these are search engines that help you. So it's even better. So
Right. Absolutely. Um, all right. So the second thing that we wanted to talk about, the second thing that I highlighted before, is the idea of sustainability and ethical consumption. I think, and as the environmental concerns like continue to be highlighted as natural disasters continue to seem to happen, as Jay, your neighbors on the coastline of Florida like start to sink. This will continue to be a thing that is really important. And
yeah,
so if you don't have some kind of environmental policy or environmental thoughtfulness, I think that that's going to be a black mark in the future, because you're going to miss this opportunity to make your brand look like it's caring about this, right? And
yeah,
trying to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Um, Now, there's lots of things that you can do around that, but one of the most important ones is just to be clear upfront, to allow that transparency with your brand, to say, this is what our intention is, this is why we're doing what we're doing, this is where we buy from, just so that there's full clarity across the spectrum of what's happening and who's involved and everything else that goes along with that. Um, Jay, as you think about sustainability, like what comes to mind for you?
Carbon footprint, making sure
Mm-hmm.
that you are trying to maintain that equilibrium there, and not, you know, getting too high on that carbon level. But I was thinking, it's like it didn't hit me. I was talking with somebody yesterday about sustainability, and it didn't hit me until you just mentioned it as you brought that up, and now I can't remember the conversation. But yeah, oh yeah, I can't remember at
That's all
this
right.
point. But
Yep.
no, but you bring up a good thing. The environment's important. Products with certain types of batteries are problematic, and companies are making sure they're using batteries that are safer, and they're using plastics that are safer. Yeah,
Right.
all of that really really matters today. And unfortunately, I've been seeing stories about people that are making products for infants that they can only get the products from China, and they're unfortunately thinking they're going to have to close their business.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, that's a shame to me that we're going through that. And it's I don't remember the name of the product. It's a type of plastic that doesn't leach and doesn't have any of the BCAs and things like that in
Yeah.
it.
BPA and all that.
Yeah.
BPA free stuff. Yeah.
Yes. And she's like, nobody's gonna buy a $70 sippy cup. And
Probably not.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Probably not. You don't use
Yeah.
it for long enough.
No.
Uh, um, and so that does become important, and that means also exactly what you're describing, Jay, is like, especially as you think about the future, right? You have to be thinking about um, not just how you're making the product, but where,
Right.
and how you're sourcing it, and what that means from an environmental perspective, right, and a sustainability perspective, both for your brand, but also then for the environment more broadly.
For sure.
Um, one other area when it comes to sustainability, and we have talked about this several times because especially as we were reviewing the news so regularly, there were so many instances where brands had started to introduce these secondhand markets for their own
Right.
products. And I think that that idea of this circular economy where I used it, but I'm done with it, or whatever. I was a little bit heavier. Now I went outside and ran a little bit more, and now it doesn't fit me anymore. Or I went through a specific phase in my life, and I'm out of that phase now, and I don't
Yeah.
need this anymore because it's just not that's not who I am now. Um, I that This idea of having the ability to buy secondhand is going to continue to be more popular, um, for lots of different reasons. One of them could be exactly what you were talking about, Jay. Right? Instead of buying the brand new sippy cup for $70, you could source that same sippy cup for
Yeah.
$25 on a secondhand market, and it's the exact same, except that a kid used it for 3 months. In their youth, right?
Yeah.
But everything else is the same. You run it through the dishwasher one time, it's good to go. I think there there are lots of aspects around that ability to have a secondhand use that are really appealing. One of them is price, but the other one is all of the other factors that we've been talking about, the reuse and all of that kind of thing. And so I think that what you'll continue to see, and definitely what if you are some type of product like that with a longer life cycle, like you want to make sure that you're exploring and understanding, like, how can you take advantage of that market? Can you, after so much time, like, I know you purchased this, have you enjoyed it? Have you worn it recently? If you haven't, would you like us to buy it back? And we can make a thing happen. There's lots to explore there. And Jay, I think the future of sustainable e-commerce is going to be focused around this idea of reuse.
Right.
I know I would love that to be more popular now, where and especially in clothing, right? Like, clothing is the best example of this. There are some things that you buy, like, you wear it out, right? You garden in it, and now it's you have holes in the elbows or whatever, right? Like, that kind of stuff's not making it to the secondhand market. But there's so much fashion, and especially like maybe in ladies' fashion more than anything, really. Like a couple years old now, like it's out of style, but it still like might be in style in a couple years. You never really know, right?
Well,
Um,
those products that you've worn, and you've worn the
uh,
holes in the knees and the elbows and whatever. I mean,
yeah.
my daughter buys the jeans with the holes in them, so you might as well put them on a secondhand market. You
What's the
know,
worst that happens?
well, yeah. I mean, I see a lot of people doing that, and
Right.
they get crafty and they buy fabric and they sew it up, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's all
Absolutely.
good.
Well, and
So
there's entire websites dedicated to secondhand style products like this.
yeah,
In fact, I was talking to a young lady that lives in my neighborhood who wanted to make a business of doing this kind of thing, of taking a gently used product and bedazzling it or making some updates to it so that it's a new but like now unique product, right? It's an individualized product that suits exactly what you what kind of style you're going for.
yeah,
And I can't remember the website, but we talked about it 2 weeks ago. But that website's still out there, and is a shop of this nature, right? Like it's a secondhand
yeah,
place where you can get this individualized merchandise. And I think that you'll see that too, because I do think that a lot of the reason why um, the younger generation is then doing this is for the ability to say, like, look at me as an individual, right? I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to set it up my own way, and that is in by using secondhand merchandise, like you have the ability to do that easily.
right.
And then truly, I think that a lot of those factors, especially secondhand factors, have to do a lot with a lot of the market conditions that are out there more broadly, of just things feel expensive, and especially the young people right now have a lot of thought to that, right? You can't buy a house if you're 21, probably, right? And everything feels so expensive. So you want to be able to identify these opportunities to be able to save a little money. Um, and so taking advantage of that as an e-tailer is something that you're just gonna, again, I think in the future it's not going to be an option anymore. It's just going to have to be something that you do.
Agreed.
Um, and then finally, so Jay, any other thoughts on sustainability? Have you ever bought anything because of the promise on the package or whatever? You have not? Oh, I have. I'm pretty Gen Z over here, I guess. My I was interested in my favorite shoe brand because they were recycled. Like
Yeah.
that was the thing that they talked about, is say we try to use recycled plastic in these shoes, and still make something that's comfortable, and I love that. And I bought several pairs of shoes from them since, because I just enjoy the way that they feel,
That's amazing.
and and I think I'm not the every example, but it definitely impacted my decision, and made me look a little closer when I was scrolling through when I found them
Sure.
the first time or whatever, right? So
Yeah,
absolutely.
I grew up in the time when you change your own oil and you just dump it.
I mean, that's a sustainability practice too, though, just in a different way.
Yeah. Well, I take that back. I didn't just dump it. My dad actually owned a gas station, so
There you
we
go.
had
So
we had a place to put it. But
That's good.
we weren't concerned with recycling, although it was picked up and turned into like furnace fuel oil or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they did reburn it for something. But I worked for a pharmaceutical company 20 something years ago, and
Right.
we would buy plastic resin by the pallet load. It was like 1,000 pounds of little tiny plastic pellets that came in on, 3 truckloads at a time.
Mm.
And they would use that in the albuterol comes in little bottles.
Yes.
Little
Right. Yeah.
squirts. So that's
Yep.
what we manufactured.
Oh, okay.
So you think about how much comes into that. So for every pallet of pellets that we used,
Yeah.
we had 3 pallets of waste that came out because
Wow.
you heated it and expanded, and it was all the forms around everything.
Right.
So
Sure.
they found, instead of just having it picked up and recycled, they
Right.
went and bought a grinder and employed
Just
like four people, and
ran it back into pellets.
they no, actually they couldn't do that because
It already expanded.
well,
Right. I would have
no,
changed it.
because of it was going for drugs. It
Oh.
couldn't have any of the contaminants from the machinery on it. But they
Ah.
sold it in that format like four times as much as just the recycled.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean
There you
that
go.
way back in its day was one of those things, and I thought that was great, and
Yeah.
that was a very very fun job for me watching that and
Yeah.
actually watching that work. Not only watching the process and seeing the checks come in from my employer, but just watching it. It was very
Yeah.
fulfilling.
Yeah, and so I think that that's an important lesson to remember, right? Is that there are situations where this extra, where just putting in a little extra effort can quadruple how much you could sell something for.
Yeah.
And again, like there, we know and we've seen them, and and I know my wife has used them. Things like ThreadUp that are these secondhand marketplaces. Like if they're just selling your product on their secondhand marketplace, well, why not just do that on your own, and cut out the middleman and take some of that profit for yourself. I think we'll see that becomes more popular. I know we already talked about. I think it was Patagonia who was doing this, and then a couple other brands as well. Like I think it's especially if you're that end of the market, right, where you're where you're not just the use it and trash it type, but
Right.
you're you have some value to your branding. That will be more and more and more popular.
Well, you say do it on your own site. I mean, the thing about putting it on a site specifically for it is the traffic looking for that type of item.
Sure.
So, I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense to do that. But if you can develop a secondary brand and get a following and get that traffic to that site, I mean, I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea of expanding and being
Oh.
able to take advantage of all the sales you can.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point too, because it may be worth even working with companies like ThreadUp to say, I want you to be able to sell my secondhands. I can get them to you, and you can sell them on your site. And maybe there will be future partnerships that work this way. I think that will be an interesting development in the market for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And definitely, I can't wait to see what happens there. And I know that the Gen Z folks, the future will be thinking about it too. So they're already out there looking. So
Most
if you're not
definitely.
being thoughtful about it, again, it's another one of those ones where you're probably leaving some opportunity on the table. Um, the final thing that we wanted to talk about today is social media's influence. I don't think any this is going to change that much going forward. The 97%, Jay, did you see this
I
statistic?
did.
97% of Gen Z shoppers get their inspiration from social media. So that's TikTok, that's Instagram, that's YouTube, and then I'm sure there are other ones as well. But 97%.
I
Think
know.
about what that means. That means the of that 17% of commerce, like 16.5% of it is coming from social media. And that just means that you cannot not be active on these sites.
For sure not.
If you're a brand that's focusing on consumers directly, so if you are a DTC brand, like you've got to be in social media somewhere, and if you want to capture Gen Z, you need to know where those things are going to be, right? You need to know if
Yep.
it's Snapchat or if it is TikTok Shop or if it's Instagram or probably some combination of all those and the one that hasn't come out yet, whatever it is, Trump Talk or whatever the future U.S. version of TikTok is. Like there's lots of opportunity there. Also, I think this is important as well, and these go hand in hand. 70% of Gen Z folks prefer shopping on their phone, and so like Jay and I talked about, like that's what people are doing, not just in Gen Z, but also in as a millennial or Jay, what are you Gen X?
I guess so. I never
Yeah.
thought of that.
Yeah. Well, wow. There you go. You've never even
Yeah,
thought about it.
I
Wow.
never thought of
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So there's multiple generations that are moving to the phone, but a lot of Gen Z folks are focusing there.
But the Gen Zs, they live on their phone. I mean,
Right.
my
Right.
daughter will watch all of her TV on her phone if she could, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
right there. And I mean,
Yeah.
she'll take that battery right down to 0.5%, and
Phone
then
dead, and then put it
yeah,
back on the charger and
yeah,
take a nap or something.
probably yes. Or maybe finally decide to go to class, although she's not going to go to
Oh,
class
there you
without her phone either. So,
right.
but yeah,
That's funny. And I do think it is the future, right? Like that mean that the clear message there is that you need to understand the platform preferences of your consumer. And if you have a Gen Z consumer base, that platform preference is going to be social media based,
for
and
sure.
it's going to be right there on the phone. You also need to understand the power of influencer marketing. Influencer marketing, 58% of Gen Z folks have purchased something based on an influencer's recommendation. And again, that's a big chunk. That's almost 2/3. That's a lot of folks who are taking the recommendations of the people that they trust, right? That have built
Hmm.
up some social capital to say, like, my opinion on this matters, and 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 you should do this too, right? And and so that means that there are going to be some strategies that are different than what we've done in the past. Um, when I think about ads, the first thing that comes to mind for me, Jay, is the Super Bowl. But on a going forward basis, like, did your daughter even watch the Super Bowl? Was
She
she on her phone the whole
watched.
time?
Well, I don't know if she was at college, but I do know she
No,
watched the um,
the halftime show, Kinder.
halftime show. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so maybe that maybe this like the old advertising style may work, right? But it's just not as effective. And again, of
Yeah.
course, it's big. It's only the big brands, like the giant brands, who can afford the multi-million-dollar ad spot in the Super Bowl anyway. But local TV marketing or those types of things, like those are just not they're not going to be the right answer. And even just like popping up in someone's algorithm um, as an ad, while valuable, might not be as valuable as exploring a partnership with somebody who has the eyeballs of a lot of people, and can then influence that decision.
UGC
And
is
so
huge.
yeah, and so I think that that's going to be something that we already know that it's a thing that's really important, right? 60% of Gen Z people are buying it already, right? So and they're not the only people who are influenced by influencers, um, and so uh, you definitely want to make sure that you've tailored your marketing strategy to capture the influence that influencers can have. Jay, have you have you been impacted by this? Like, do you think about like if I think about this from our perspective
Yeah.
of the way that this used to be, right? It used to be like you saw the Nespresso commercial with George Clooney, and you were like, "Oh, if George Clooney's having Nespresso, then I have to too." And it's the same idea, really, right? Like
Yeah.
somebody famous and somebody that you have this social trust built up. Like, "Ooh, he's George is fantastic. I really like him. I want to be like him," right?
It
That's
triggers an
the idea. It's
emotion.
the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I'm sure that there's a lot of I'm sure there's a lot of like psychological aspects of this that either have already been or almost certainly in the future will be studied related to this, right? But it's true. Like the impact that influencers have is significant,
Yeah.
and it will go and it will continue to go that way. Um,
So I'm looking at a list of platforms that are
yeah.
best for user generated content:
Okay.
Instagram, TikTok,
Yep.
YouTube,
Hmm.
X, X, Pinterest, Threads, and LinkedIn. Now, I want to know, what are the platforms that you all are posting on? What are your go to platforms?
Yeah.
And how do you know that your audience is on those platforms? I'd love to know that. And, from somebody that's doing some of this posting,
Yeah.
what is the next platform? I mean, I hear people are on Blue Sky and subreddits and all kinds of stuff. What is the next platform that we need to be looking at? Because
Yeah.
it looks like some of these are starting to dwindle and die
Yeah.
off and
Maybe fade a little.
maybe fade off. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like knowing that, or at least being aware of that, becomes critical for you, because that gives you the opportunity to when you know that it's new, it gives you the opportunity to get in early
Right.
and to give yourself a lot of extra exposure that way. Um, and there can just be so much value from being able to reach consumers in the places that they are, right? And that I think is I think that's the the part of that individualized marketing that we'll see going forward is going to be focused on exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Is identifying where your prospective customers are and how to reach them. Um, and Jay, that encompasses the idea of just social commerce broadly, right? Of
Yep.
how those things are connected, and how people are buying not just based on the recommendation of an influencer, but maybe even directly through the platform. So if you think about TikTok Shop, if you think about Instagram, as many as 28% of Gen Z folks are buying directly through the social media app. So they're
Right.
not going like you did, right? They're not seeing the TikTok ad and going to Amazon to buy the device that they need. They're just clicking right on the thing, paying right then,
Yeah.
and and just paying for it directly. And so I know that the idea of, and like we talked about already, right? The idea of making that process smooth and frictionless is going to continue to be more and more important, because as this hyper personalization happens, like that's going to be how you win the customer, is right there at that spot.
There were two reasons I didn't buy it on TikTok Shop.
All right.
$8 to ship it,
Yeah,
and it'd
that's a
be
tough
two
one.
weeks before I got it.
That's another tough one.
Yeah.
See, that's exactly the things that we've talked about,
Yeah.
Jay. Is like
Exactly.
your delivery expectations they're just different today than they used to be, right? $8 in 2 weeks is just it's inconceivable.
Yeah.
If I'm going to pay $8, I need that to come tomorrow.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, and so those are things that the DTC brands are just going to have to be thoughtful about. Like you're going to have to understand what it is that's influencing your customers, and how they're going to be responsive to those types of situations, right? So that will continue to be just a never-ending list of importance. so Jay, as we often love to do, we get to the end of the show and we talk about the things you can do today, right? And so I think there are three things. Obviously, we talked about three different things, so there's going to be three things people can do. The first one, the first thing that you have to do is you have to be authentic and be engaging, and you have to do that now. So you need some kind of social media presence that is both authentic and engaging. So it needs to be real. It needs to not feel fake. It needs to, maybe it has errors. Maybe it takes into account your personality, right?
Right.
You want that to be the case, because those types of things people see,
Right.
and it's endearing, and it builds on that social trust that we've already talked about. So this
Yeah.
becomes really important.
And you have to be honest with what you're talking about, because
Right.
you know all you need is one person to take it the wrong way, and you're shot. You're down
Right.
the tubes. And there's actually one creator right now. He's like, I'm going to call out one of these people every day for the next month.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So I saw the first
Fun.
one this morning.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
The second thing that you need to probably have already done, but need to be continuously improving on a going forward basis, is omni-channel optimization. So you need to understand the buying patterns of your consumers, and continue to make it easier and better. Continue to optimize that performance. Jay, any thoughts about that?
No, just do it immediately.
Do it. Right?
Don't-
Yeah, if
don't-
you haven't already.
don't-
And don't
wait. Yeah.
Right, and then on top of that too is like, don't just do it and assume it's correct and good to go. Like you want to continue to revisit this over and over, because it doesn't take a long time for just a little bit of code to like have gotten tweaked just a pinch or something, and now it's just not as optimized anymore.
Yeah, it's continuous
So
improvement all the time. You got to
all the
stay on
time.
top of it for sure.
Absolutely. And then finally, if you don't already, it is worth considering and evaluating whether or not you need to employ some sustainability initiative. And so if it's not something that you're already doing, it's definitely something that you want to be thoughtful about as you go forward. Jay, as you think about the future of e-commerce and especially Gen Z folks driving that e-commerce, what did we not talk about today that's on the top of your mind?
Well, I just want to say, know your customer, know where they are, know what matters to them, know what their wants and desires are, and they are going to be the future of your business. So cater to them
That's
and
right.
embrace it. Just embrace it.
Perfect. And so that's what we've got for you today. So thank you for joining us today. Jay, what do you have going on this weekend?
Oh, not too much this weekend. It's the last weekend before the tax deadline, so a lot of it's recouping for myself and making sure I file my own extensions.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. We talked about that earlier this week. I've got to get my tax return done this weekend as well. Think I've got all the pieces I need, but we'll find out. And I'll do the best that I can. Fingers crossed. That's what my weekend looks like too. Not too much going on. So it'll be hopefully a nice and relaxing one, and hopefully we can say the same for you out there listening and enjoying the show today. Again, thank you for spending time with us. I'm Chris. He's Jay, and we were here on the e-commerce hour by On the Rocks. Thanks for spending time with us. Like Jay mentioned, if you've got some experiences on platforms that you enjoy or that you think are the future, drop that in the comments. We want to see those. We're really interested in learning about where people are going to be, and then also how you've the experiences that you've had currently, right? Like what's worked, what hasn't worked, and what kind of influencer campaigns are interesting to you, or have really nailed it for you, right? Like, oh, I can't believe that person endorsed this. I'm in. I'd love to hear that too.
And if you have a strategic initiative for sustainability, let us know what you're doing there. I want to know. It's so important. So let's shout that out to the world.
Do it. Do it. Wonderful. Well, again, thank you everyone for spending your Friday afternoon with us. We will be right back here next week to talk about something relevant to e-commerce at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. So have a good weekend, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great weekend. We'll see ya.
Bye,
everybody.
Everyone.